This week we're learning the Torah portion, which is called Akiv. Akiv. And Moses is encouraging the Jewish people. They're going into the land of Israel. He gave them enough reproof about the bad things that they did in the desert. And now he's giving them encouragement. And as we'll see, in this week's Torah portion, even though it's part of the book which is called Mishnah Torah, and it's the repetition of the Torah, but there's a lot of commandments, and we'll see that there's a lot more in this book. Torah commandments which are not mentioned previously. So here we have 8 of them. Parshas Akiv. There we'll find in this week's Torah portion, we'll find 8 commandments. One of them is a negative commandment, a prohibition. A prohibition not to get any pleasure from the tzipui avodah zarah, from the decorations of idolatry, mitachshitera, from the jewelry, etc. Like it says, lo tachmod kesef v'zahav alehem. If you go sometimes to Japan, there's other places. You see, they have like on the street corners, they have these little sort of boxes, and inside of the box, it's an open box. It's open on all, it's closed on all the sides except for the side that's facing you. And inside of that box is another smaller box, which is the same thing. And inside of that is a little statue. And people pray to these statues, and they give them, like, put a cigarette there, or they put some of the bigger statues, sometimes they put jewelry on there. Very well known that in the churches in Spain and places like that, the people didn't have what to eat, and they used to put jewelry on this statue, and the mother and the father and the this, and they put the statue. So all that's idolatry. And of course, you're not allowed to get any pleasure from idolatry. You're not allowed to get any pleasure from also the decorations that they put on the idolatry. Like it says, don't desire the gold or the silver or anything else that's on them and take it for you. It's a negative, it's a prohibition. It's in the category of idolatry. Next negative commandment. We're going to have 2 negative commandments. Here they are. Not to get any pleasure from the idolatry itself. Here we're just talking about the decorations, the idolatry, or any of the sacrifices that are made to the idolatry. So, like if you were in Japan, I only saw this in Japan. I mean, they have a certain degree of this is also in Thailand, but I saw it anyway. It was more pronounced in Japan because it's sort of a modern place, So if you're walking down the street and you saw somebody put a cigarette in front of this, whatever god he's got over there, whatever, and you couldn't take that cigarette and smoke it. You're not allowed to use it because it's a sacrifice to idolatry. Huh? So here we have, in this week's Torah portion, we have 8 commandments, and we've just done 2 of them. You can't get any pleasure from idolatry itself, and you can't get any pleasure from the sacrifices to idolatry or the ornaments and decorations they put on the idol itself. Things that are just like commemorating the holiday, like you have a Christmas tree and this stuff. I don't think people don't actually worship those trees. So I don't know. You'd have to ask another rabbi. But at least you know that there is a topic like that. There's a question. Positive commandment that after you finish eating and get satisfied, if you eat bread, you have to bless, thank God. Like it says, you should eat and be satisfied and bless God. This is only talking about bread. After you eat bread, and the bread has to be, there's certain conditions it has to be made from what's called the 5 different types of grain. If you eat bread that's made from corn, you don't have to make this blessing, not from the Torah. If you eat bread made of rice, you don't have to. Only if it's made of wheat and rye and barley and spelt and oatmeals, only of those those five grains, you have to make this big long blessing, and it's a blessing from the Torah. Now, everything you eat, you have to make a blessing before and after, also before bread. But those blessings are from the rabbis. In other words, the rabbis, they instituted those blessings. Of course, again, to remind everybody that the blessings of the rabbis have the same power as the blessings from the Torah, because there's just different, because they came from the rabbis, so therefore there's different laws that apply to them. It's a little more lenient, but it doesn't mean that it's any less from God. Because first of all the commandments of where do the rabbis get the power to make these commandments up? The Torah gives them the power. The Torah says clearly that they should make add-on fences to the commandments, and that they can also make blessings on them. So, okay. So that's you have to bless after you eat, but that is not from the Torah. Blessing after you eat bread is a blessing from that is, yes, from the Torah. One of the big differences is if you don't know, if you're sure, you finished eating, you don't remember, did you bless or did you not bless? You were in a hurry, you have to go back and bless after eating bread. But if it's anything else, you forgot if you made a blessing after eating an apple or something like that, then you do not have to go back, because what's called a safek bracha lahakel, a doubtful blessing, you have to be lenient from the rabbis, but from the Torah, you have to be severe. This is one of the conditions of commandments from the rabbis, and one of the differences between the commandments of the rabbis and the commandments of the Torah. And if you have a doubt, you have to go back and do, if you have a doubt if you did it, you have to go back if it's a commandment from the Torah, and from the rabbis not. Okay, here we got another positive commandment, to love converts. Judaism does not encourage converts. We're not looking around to have more Jews. It's not part of Judaism to look around to have more Jews. The Jews that we have to be genuine. And the only way you can be a Jew is if your mother was a Jew, or if you converted according to very strict criterion, according to the Jewish book of law called the Shulchan Aruch. But once a person does convert, so it's a sign that that person never really was 100% a non-Jew, that he always had a Jewish soul, and then now that Jewish soul pushed him to convert. And those people that convert for ulterior motives, it's a big question. You have to ask rabbis. Not 100% sure that they are Jewish. But on the other hand, it's also not 100% sure that they're not Jewish also. Because it says that generally speaking, if a person converts with the wrong reasons, if it's totally the wrong reason, and he hasn't even got intention to do the commandments at all, so then the conversion is not worth anything. But if when he converted, he did have the intention, anyway, it's a big problem. If the conversion was made by improper rabbis, in other words, rabbis that weren't really rabbis that didn't keep Shabbat, for instance, then for sure, according to all opinions, it's not a valid conversion. Okay. Positive commandment to love. In any case, a person that did convert properly, it is a commandment to love that person. In other words, to show special love for him. In addition to the commandment to love every Jew, and that doesn't mean you have to, non-Jews, you shouldn't love. You certainly should love everybody, but it's a commandment to love another Jew. And in addition to that, that Jew happens to be a convert, it's a double a commandment. So you have to be specially patient with him, and specially caring, and specially, etc. It says God has special love for the converts, like it says that God loves converts too. Positive commandment, to fear God, to be afraid of God. There's many different levels of fear, but just generally 2 levels: to be afraid of going against God because he'll punish you. That's the lower level. That's called lower fear. And a higher level of fear is that you're afraid of going against God because God is so precious and valuable, and you love God so much that you're afraid to do anything wrong to God because you respect him so much and you have such positive commandment. So it's a commandment then, positive commandment to fear God. And of course, this brings you to do the commandments and to, especially to to avoid the things that are forbidden. Usually the negative commandments, the prohibitions, more stress fearing God, and the positive commandments, more stress loving God. But really both of them have both present. But there's the negative commandments, the prohibitions, that has both love and fear of God. But the main thing is fear. And the positive commandments, they have both love and fear of God, but the main thing is love. Next commandment. These are all these commandments that are found in this week's Torah portion. To pray. It's a commandment to pray to God every day. Where do we get that from? Because it says, Otso ta'avod, that you should serve God. What is serving God? Avodat Hashem, this is tefillah. And it also says other places, Avdo b'kol levavachem, you should serve God with all of your heart. A lot of details about prayer, but the main thing of prayer is supposed to be that your heart is aroused. That your heart is aroused. Prayer has several aspects to it. One of them is that you give yourself over to God. So it says, Avdo b'chol levavachem, you should serve God with all of your heart, all of your hearts. What is service of God with your heart? That is prayer. So prayer doesn't mean just standing and saying, please God, send me good luck and send me health and send me this. You also should do that. That's also part of prayer, yes. But the commandment of praying, we learn from the what it says in the Torah, you should serve God with all of your heart. So prayer is supposed to be something that's emotional, genuine. Therefore, I can't stress too much how the importance of knowing the meanings of the words when you pray. Very, very essential, especially if you pray from a prayer book. You should know, and if you don't pray from a prayer book, you just pray on your own. So that's very nice, but you won't be able to pray very long. Because what do you got to say? What do you have to say? God, fix things up. That's it. But if you pray from a prayer book, then these prayers were arranged. A lot of them were from King David, but the others were from the people of the Great Assembly, which that was like right before and during the Second Temple, in the beginning of the Second Temple. So these were tremendously, tremendously holy people. It says that even the Tanaim, the people that lived right at the end of the Second Temple, the Jews, they had the power to raise the dead. It's even the lowest of them, Rabbeinu HaKodesh, it says. So these were tremendously holy people. So therefore, it's a very good thing to pray from a prayer book, a genuine prayer book. And then there's the whole thing of, are you Ashkenaz, Sephardi? But that we can talk about later. The main thing is to pray to God, and you're supposed to pray to God, understand the words, and of course you have to think about who you're praying to. That's the mitzvah of praying. You're supposed to pray. You're supposed to activate your heart. Then there's all these conditions about praying. You have to be clean. You have to be this, but we'll learn about that maybe another time. We'll see. I want to do the Chumash today. A positive commandment to cling to the wise men and their people, because the whole Torah has to be explained. If you just take the Torah at face value, it doesn't mean anything. It's a free-for-all. Right? The 10 Commandments. What does it mean? Don't kill. Maybe it means don't kill time. Maybe it means don't kill bacteria. Doesn't say whatnot. Doesn't say don't kill people. So it has to be explained. And when Moses was on Mount Sinai, a lot of things were explained to him, and a lot of things were given to him, the formulas on how to utilize the Torah and explain things properly. And that's only the rabbis know. Rabbis are God-fearing Jews that are very, very serious about every word and every idea of the Torah. That's what a genuine rabbi is, and that they want to do what God says. Very much. They feel that's the whole purpose of their life, is to do what God says and to do what God says. So therefore it says you should cling to the rabbis. You should learn from them and understand them. It says you should have to go to the dust of their feet, and etc. The importance of the rabbis. And of course, anyone who wanted to make war against Judaism, the first target was always the rabbis. It was the rabbis. And that's like today, also the Reform, Conservative, and Christianity was the big one. They really went super, the whole religion is based on going against the rabbis. So here we have the commandment, and you have to cling to the rabbis and learn from them and be thirsty for their words. And let's say one more. Last commandment, to make an oath. Whenever you make an oath, the oath has to be a true oath. When you're obligated and Beit Din to make an oath. Now, people don't make oaths today, but a lot of times people in court, you would make an oath. Somebody owes you money and he claims he doesn't. So there's sometimes where you take an oath, I swear he owes me money, and then you get the money. So it's pretty simple. All you got to do is just, don't have to bring any witnesses. He doesn't have any witnesses. You don't have any witnesses. And you just take an oath. Say, I swear he owes me money. And that's it. You just have to say those few words in God's name, and you win the jackpot. The only problem is are you saying the truth or not? So a person could say, what difference does it make if I'm saying the truth? If I just do these, then they believe me. I get $10,000. Right? So that's the commandment here, that when you do make an oath, it has to be a true oath. It has to be true, and you should never make a false oath. Okay, let's go to our Torah portion. Here we go. Ready, everyone? Yes. Let's just do the first 5-6 sentences here in this week's Torah portion. Beautiful blessings, promises, encouragement, inspiration that God is giving over here, motivation. Okay, so it's like this. I'll go over the first few, and then we'll go back to the commentaries. V'haya ekev tishmun, and it will be that if you listen at the mishpatim, to these laws, and those laws of the Torah, u'shemartem v'asitem otam, and you observe them and you do them, then God will reciprocate. V'shamar Hashem Elokecha lecha et habrit v'et hachesed, then God will keep for you his covenant, his agreement, his promise, v'et hachesed, and the kindness that he swore to your forefathers. What does this mean? Let's go back and we'll do it again, all right? Just let's do it, first of all, very superficially. So Moses is telling the Jews, okay, you're going to the land of Israel. I'm not going to be with you. I'd love to go with you, but I'm not going to be going until the raising of the dead. And so meanwhile, you're going to have to be without me. If you do the clause, and it says Akev means the heels, the simple commandments that a person just sort of throws under his heels, doesn't pay much attention to. If you pay attention to all the commandments, even the smallest ones, then God will keep for you the promise that he made to Abraham and Yitzchak and Yaakov. We'll go over it, like I said. Let's go further. God will love you. He'll bless you. He'll increase you. He'll bless the fruit of your womb, the fruit of your ground. Degancha v'tiroshecha yitzarecha. Your grains, your wine, and your oil. Shagar alafecha, olive oil. Shgar alafecha, the produce of your sheep. Ashro sonecha, the sheep, the goats, the cows. Alo adama. These are strange terms, but we'll see. Rashi explains. On the ground that God swore to your fathers to give to you. So here we have it again, always constantly, how God promised the Jews. You will be blessed more than all the nations. There's also what says another, you will be blessed from the nations. The other nations in the world will bless you. There won't be any one barren. Because everyone that gets married will have children. Biggest blessing. And also your animals, same thing. And God will remove from you all disease. all Madvei Mitzrayim, and all of the infirmities of Egypt, the bad ones that you knew, God will not put on you, and he'll put it on all of your enemies. Huh? All of the enemies. I hope they're listening to this class. And you will devour all of the nations that God has given to you. It says that the nations that lived in the land of Israel, that the Jews were commanded to conquer, they were the most depraved of the nations of the world. Them in Egypt. Lo tachos, do not have any mercy on them, and do not serve their gods. Ki mokesh hulach, because they are a stumbling stone for you. I remember that the Pope came to Israel once, and some big high official, whatever it is, he kissed his ring. The Pope, the Lubavitcher Rebbe went wild. Oh, how could anybody possibly do that? And this person is representing Jews. He's representing this. Anyway, there it is. As soon as you start to try to find favor in them, then you'll bow down to their idols. If you say in your heart, hey, these non-Jews are more than me, how can I defeat them? It says, don't be afraid of them. Positive commandment. Don't be afraid. Zachor tizkor. Remember what God did to Pharaoh and Mitzrayim. In Egypt, you didn't have any weapons. You didn't have any power. You didn't have any identity. You had been slaves, 4 generations of slaves. And God made all sorts of big miracles that your eyes saw, and etc. So also God will do to all the nations that you are afraid of. And there's also this tzira, and this is where we're going to stop. There's God that will send this big sort of hornet or wasp or some sort of very frightening and disgusting, I don't know, what are they called? Hornets, wasps, something like that. And it says that this is not just regular. It used to spit out some sort of it says, Rashi says, means sheretz oaf. It's some sort of a flying insect. And it would shoot out some sort of poison, and it would castrate the enemies and blind them. We got something good to have on your side. Every place where they would hide, right? All the enemies would gather to defeat all the Jews, and all of a sudden a whole swarm of these things would come around castrating everybody and making them blind. Well, I don't know. I think it would be good just to castrate them. It would be enough, then if they would see, so they would see what happened to the other guys. But in any case, God knows what he's doing. So it says maybe he's blinding them because of mercy. I don't know. So it says that's what it would be if you just do what, in the end, the Jews didn't do what God wanted. So he didn't send in this tzira. God didn't send it in. Here, Evan Ezra doesn't agree. He doesn't say this. He says that the tzira is a disease. It's a disease that comes from like tzorat. And the Bal HaTuvim says at the tzira, it says shtayim hoyu, there were 2. Now, I don't know if it means there were 2 explanations. It was a disease and this, or maybe there were just 2 bugs, and that was enough, right? You have a couple bugs castrating everybody, that's enough to win the battle for you, for sure. Okay, anyway, so let's go back. Anyway, don't be afraid. Lo taros u'ifnim, because God is your God. Kel gadol v'nora. Remember, you are not going alone. God is going with you. And in case you forgot, God is creating everything. So it's no big problem for God to defeat your enemies or castrate a couple of them, whatever he did to them. He knows the work. So don't be afraid. In other words, you're not in this business alone. You're with God. Let's go Rashi. Vaya Ekev Tishmon, says Rashi. Ekev Tishmon, these are the mitzvot kalot. These are the what we call seemingly light commandments. she'adam dash be'ekavav, that a person just sort of tramples under his feet. These commandments, tishma'un, you should listen. Take a simple example, washing your hands in the morning. A person's supposed to, commandments that are only from the rabbis, commandments that are only customs, things that are close to customs. Like we say, washing your hands in the morning. A Jew is supposed to wash his hands in the morning when he wakes up. Some people in Chabad, when we put water next to the bed. It's supposed to be so that you don't even take a step. You're not supposed to take a step. Okay, so a person could say, big deal, listen, I wash my hands, it's good enough. I wash them with soap, but I don't have to wash any more than that. Right? You got a good point. If you're going for hygiene, maybe, but the fact is that it's a commandment. True, it's only rabbinical and it's only a custom to do it. So it says, don't make light of these things. These things are ways that you can serve the Creator better. So don't start thinking about yourself and saying, I want to save the energy. Shomer Hashem, God will keep for you this agreement that He made. Yishmor lecha havtachato. God will keep His promise. What did He make a promise? He promised to Abraham that it would be a great nation. That's what He promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Now let's look at the Bal HaTuvim for a moment here. Bal HaTuvim, Vaya Ekev. What does it say in last week's Torah portion? Do you remember right at the end of last week's Torah portion? It says over there, Hayom la'asotam. Right at the end of last week's Torah portion, it says, today to do them. And right next to it, right, it says you should do all the commandments today. Right next to it says Ekev. What does it mean, Ekev? And today you should do them. But the reward will be be'ekev. What's the ekev? Ekev is the end, at the heels. Sometimes it's called ikvada de Mashiach, the heels of the Mashiach. There's a lot of the commandments that we do, the reward we won't see at least this time around in our life. Maybe we'll only see it in the raising of the dead. But in any case, in the future redemption, which is called the Ekev, perish besof, in the end. The Ekev also is the heel. That's the end of the body. Says the Bal HaTuvim, he was a big genius in numbers and things. So listen to this. He says Ekev is 172. Ayin is 70, Kuf is 100, Base is 2. 172. There happen to be 172 letters in the 10 commandments. The first 10 commandments that we read about in the Parshat Yitro. V'zeu, that's what it means, B'shalom Ekev Rav. He brings the Ramban here. It's beautiful, but we just don't have time to do it. He brings like almost every time that the word Ekev is found, and he links it to this blessing, the Ekev. And like especially Abraham, it says, Ekev asher tishma'un. Ekev asher shamata, because you listen to my commandments, etc. V'yakveni sepamayim, the word also from the name Jacob, Yaakov. It's very beautiful. If you have time to learn it on your own, you can. I don't know, maybe we can go back to it. We'll see. So it says, Ekev, it's coming to tell you that if you keep all the commandments, Ekev, this is the number of letters in the 10 commandments that are mentioned in Parshat Yitro. That's what it means, B'shomram Ekev Rav. If you keep them, there's a tremendous reward, but the reward is said Ekev. Im Tishmor Ekev, if you are careful with the Ekev, with these commandments that everybody just tramples under their heels, commandments that don't seem to be important, then Tizka, then if they are important to you, then you will merit to Marav Tuvacha, to the great good which God has hidden for everybody. Ekev means also the word keva, set. You should make your Torah set, the main thing, not your job or your house or your family. The main thing in your life should be learning Torah. And all those other things should be built on that foundation of Torah. All right, let's see here. It says, Ushamar Hashem et chesed. Here it says what it said. Hashem, God will shomer, he'll preserve for you, he'll keep it in waiting for you, this covenant. Then shamar, he'll also observe this covenant and these promises that he promised you. Says that Bal HaTuvim v'shamar, this is the gematria of la'atid lavo, in the future to come. Here's a nice one we have. Here, let's look at this. Old Remes. Here's another hint. He brings all these different mysteries that are revealed in this sentence. And he says, here's one that says in the Zohar. It says, the lace chedvasa, there is no joy. Kami Kodesh Baruch, this is Aramaic. There's no joy before God. Keshaita, like the time the Israel and the Jewish people, mishtadli baraisa, are working at the Torah. That's what it says. V'haya, stam. Usually when it says v'haya, it means something good. That's what it means, happiness. V'haya ekev tishmun. This word is really extra. V'haya means that it will be. But it doesn't have to be that way. It could be it could have written ekev tishmun. That if you will, tishmun means that you will listen. The word v'haya also means it will be. But it's really extra. So it says v'haya, usually whenever it appears, vayehi, it means something bad. Vayehi b'yamei. If it's v'haya, it means something happy. So he says this is going to be something very happy. What's the happiness? The happiness that God has when the Jewish people do the commandments. That's what it says, v'haya, tremendous joy that will fill up the world because when God is happy, then the whole world is happy. V'sasan ekev tismun. And there will be the joy of, this joy will come because the Jews listen to all the commandments. Also in the word ekev is talking about the Torah. That the Torah, because when a person walks, so if he walks like, he puts one foot forward and the other, so the back foot, your toe of the back foot is right next to the heel of the front foot. Ekev l'tzad godel, ba'anav v'shiflos. This shows that if a person doesn't take big steps, he steps like slowly, that's a sign of humility. Then he will tishmon. Then he'll understand his learning. And this is when you're walking, you should be thinking about the learning that you learned in your Torah. That's also, it says, it will be revealed, akvayim yidgalalo, then he will reveal the secrets of the Torah. That's what it means, tishmon. You will understand and you will know. Let's do one or two more. There's a beautiful Kli Yakar here. One second. V'amar. What does it say? You will be blessed from all the people. Here. Baruch tiyeh mikol amim. You will be blessed from all the people. There will not be any akara bibehem techa. There won't be any barren Jews, or even the animals of the Jews won't be barren. So that's what he says. You will be blessed from all the people. What it means is, in Midrash Rabbah, it says, Ki kol amim yivrechecha. All of the non-Jews, they will bless you. It's not that you will be more blessed than they. Baruch tiyeh mikol amim, that the nations themselves will bless you. Al derech, like it says, like the angel of death will be forced to also bless. Some ask a question, and they say, what do we care? Why the non-Jews have to bless us? God will bless us. What do we need the non-Jews to bless us? So I say, because the land of Israel, the land of Israel says the eyes are on it all the time. It says the eyes are on it. The eyes of God are on the land of Israel. And by means of that God is always interested in the land of Israel. So he also is interested in all the other lands as well. Because Kikala Artzos, Mitamsi Teretz Israel Shosim, because all the Jewish people, all the world, they receive their blessings through the land of Israel. Therefore, it's necessary that God that all of the nations will also bless the Jews. Why? Because when there is peace to the Jews, then there'll be peace to the whole entire world. Like it says, Halu Hashem, Kol Hagoyim Shabachu Kol Amim. I mean, you can see sort of clearly, it's a really very strange thing. I never really truly understood this, I have to admit. The Nazis, so they killed Jews, but people say, oh, the Nazis were good, Hitler was right. But I mean, Hitler, he killed like 50 million totally innocent people. Let's say he hated the Jews. Okay, you don't like the Jews. But what he had against the Belgium, he killed like 25 million Russians. He just went and killed all sorts of people, bombed Poland, just murder. He just loved death. Just loved death. So we see that usually people that hate the Jews, they hate life also as well. He says that's the point. The blessing for the whole entire world comes through the Jews. So therefore, the Jews will pray, the non-Jews, the rest of the world will praise the Jews because they realize that their blessing comes from the Jews. The whole purpose of the Jews is just to bring good and blessing into the world. And people that like good and blessing will bless the Jews. That's why it says, Ki gavar aleinu chesed, says that all the nations will praise us because God has given us kindness. Right? Shabachu kol ha'umim, halu kol ha'umim, shabachu kol Halu kol hagoyim shabachu kol ha'umim. Says that the non-Jews will praise God, and they will all the nations will praise the Jews, and all the nations they will also admire the Jews because God has done us good things. So they say, what type of a thing is that? Because God does us good things, so they praise. It says when they praise us, what do they care about us? So it says no. When God does good things to the Jews, so the whole world benefits. Therefore, that's why it says that you should devour all of the nations. Because all the nations are just existing from you. That from yours you give to that is from what you have, therefore they will give to you. But what God gives to the Jewish people, that is what comes to all the other nations. So that's what it means. You will eat all of the nations. In other words, you will feed them. You'll feed all the nations. Their nourishment will come from you. That's what it says. That God will love you. He'll bless you. He'll increase you. He'll bless the fruit of your womb, the fruit of your land. Rashi says, Shagar al-Afecha is talking about the sheep and the goats and the produce. You will be blessed from all of the nations. Here's an interesting one. It says here that God will love you. What does it say? God will love you, he'll bless you, and he'll increase you. The Bal HaTuvim, God will love you. That's in the merit of Abraham. Shneimar, like it says, Zera Avram Oavi. Abraham brought love into the world. Beracha, that's in the merit of Yitzchak, because it says in the merit of Yitzchak that God blessed Yitzchak. Berach Yitzchak. V'hirbacha, and God will increase you. This is in the merit of Jacob. That's what the Bal HaTuvim says. It says, why will God love you? Says the Seforno, Rav Ovadia Seforno. Says, why will God love you? Because you're his sons and you're in his image. Like it says, Chavivin Yisrael shenikru banim lamakom. The Jewish people are sons of God. And therefore, that's why there is this, the Jewish people are eternal. And this covenant is eternal. And the happiness is eternal because just like God is eternal, so the Jews are eternal. And God will bless you. What do you mean he'll bless you? He'll bless you with mammon, with money. He'll bless you with money from whenever you need it temporarily. And in this, it says that that's the kindness that God will give you and the riches whenever you need it, which that also brings about the hatred of the non-Jews. When Jews succeed, Jews always float up to the top. It says the Jews are likened to olive oil, floats up to the top. You will be blessed from all the nations. There won't be any, it says, Akar, there won't be anyone that is barren, that won't give birth. It says also, it comes to tell you that what goodness is God doing, because God will remove all diseases from the Jewish people. So you won't say that it comes because of nature, right? That maybe there's sometimes that people don't get sick, could be. So therefore it says, Kol madvei, that he won't put them on you, but he will put them on your enemies. So people won't say, well, like nowadays, there's no more polio. That's it. It's just gone. They use the vaccines, and that's it. There's no more polio. So therefore, that's the reason why Jews don't get sick, these diseases, because it doesn't exist anymore. So it says, no, I'll put it on you. I won't put it on you, but your enemies will get it, so that there won't be any logical medical explanation that you won't. It says, Kol Choli is the gematria Tzarek Chet. Tzarek Chet is the number of curses that's going to be in Parshat Kitavo. 98 curses. None of these curses will be on you. God will remove from these 98 curses from you, and you will destroy all the nations that God has put you there. Don't have any mercy on them, and don't serve their gods, because it's just going to be a stumbling block for you. Ohr HaChaim, says the Ohr HaChaim, this was a positive commandment to the Jews. Now it's not, because we don't have these nations anymore. And that's what it says that God gave you. So you learn that if you are lazy, that it means that you are despising the gift which God has given you. You're supposed to take the land of Israel. In order to get that, the Jewish people had to destroy all the nations. If you want to be a nice guy, then it's showing that you don't want the gift. And that's what you can see now. I mean, it's not a commandment nowadays to kill, these people that are here. But for sure, those who want to kill you, or they shoot rockets at you, for sure you could kill them. And if you don't, it's a sign that you don't really want the land of Israel that God is giving you. That's what it says. Don't have any mercy on them. Like it says, Rachmei Rishoyim Achzori. It says in Proverbs that if you have mercy on evil people, that's cruelty. What does it mean? This is not a good thing to have mercy on evil people, right? They're trying to do that in America now. A person that does a crime, let him go. Come on, give him another chance. If you do that, it means you'll give him another chance to do more bad. Therefore, it's mazhir, negdios miras tova. It's telling you that the kindness that you can do with evil people is to destroy them. Because God is saying all the nations that I'm putting in front of you are all evil people. They're murderers. They're destructive people. And maybe that's why he has to warn them. Lo tachos. That's why he says, don't have any mercy on them. Because God has blessed the Jewish people with children. Like it says before, lo yelecha, you'll have a lot of children. Here, akar va'akara, there won't be. So you'll have a lot of children. Now, a person that has a lot of children, he says that he has a lot of mercy. That's why it's a reason. It says, there's a Gemara in Sanhedrin that says that a person that has a lot of children, usually he has a lot of mercy. And what's the proof? That you're not allowed to appoint a judge in the Sanhedrin that is childless. A person that doesn't have children, you're not allowed, he's not allowed to be a judge. Why? Because he hasn't got any mercy. So therefore it comes and it says that those people who have a lot of children, so they should, and therefore that increases their mercy. So they have to watch out very carefully not to misuse this mercy, not to misuse it. To tell you, the Rachamanos, that if you are merciful in this place, then this will give birth to diseases and terrible things and also idolatry. That's what it says, Mokeh Shulach, that the non-Jews will be a stumbling block for you. You're like you have in America, in Israel now, you have all these missionaries and people, and they're the nicest people in the world. Oh, just filled with just honey and this, and they really hate Judaism, and they hate, right? They just want to destroy anything that's connected to Judaism, and they're really very, very evil people. The fact of the matter is, they're very evil people, but they just realize that they're being nice so that you'll have mercy on them. To, oh yes, you're my friend, right? And little by little, so these people have to be destroyed. In our case, we can't kill them, but you have to for sure get rid of them. I mean, I'm not the first of all, you have to get rid of the Jews in the Knesset first of all, and then you can get rid of these other people. That when you have mercy on them, then you become cruel on yourself and on other Jews. Or we can explain, then God will take away this mercy that you're misusing, and he'll stop being merciful on you. That's what it says, that if you have mercy on your enemies, then in the end they will be a stumbling block for you, as we'll talk about more, God willing. Anyway, so it says, but don't be afraid, because you have to remember the same God that took you out of Egypt, he'll help you, and that's the same God that's right here now with us. So have a good day with Mashiach now.